should start, and then we can ask you about that.
Do you guys get nervous? Like
Just a little bit right before.
Hello, this is the Cowboys and Unicorns podcast. I'm David,
I'm Dan.
and tonight,
The first ever woman on the podcast.
we are shattering the glass ceiling.
Oh my God.
We have a woman on the podcast. Please introduce yourself.
hey,
Who is this?
Elizabeth Tiernan.
What's up, bub?
Family members on the podcast.
This is the first family member, right?
Making history.
First, like, straight blood relative. We had Gabe, my brother-in-law, but
He doesn't
blood
count.
Involved, yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
It's an
Making
honor.
history. First woman to ever be on a podcast in my basement.
Mm-hmm.
First sibling. First. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. What are you up to, bub?
I don't know. I'm kind of nervous.
What are you up to in life?
In life, I just graduated college. I have my Lpn now, so I'm a licensed nurse.
Talk
Do you have a
into
job?
your microphone.
Okay. Yes, I do have a job.
Like working, delivering pizzas, or
No. I'm a nurse at the Minnewaska Lutheran Home in Starbuck.
does that mean you're a Lutheran?
No.
Okay.
Do it because
There we go.
John and Bobby have a podcast. You have to. Like,
They don't have a
keep it-
podcast anymore. Wow.
Oh,
Who
Where
has a
have you
podcast?
been?
We do.
shoot.
Okay, we're
I
back.
actually don't think we did it in competition with them. I think
No.
they think that?
I think they think that we started our podcast because we were inspired by them.
But that would be so.
I think we started our podcast
I
because
feel like that can be a thing. Like you can be
Yeah.
inspired by somebody.
I
And
feel
that's
like I
not a
was
bad
more
thing.
inspired by like really good podcasts,
and
like Joe Rogan and the Freakonomics and stuff.
I don't listen to podcasts.
What?
well, you're gonna listen to this one.
Probably not.
I'll share it, but
You're gonna
maybe.
listen to it as we go right now. So
Yeah.
you're listening to, you are experiencing and creating a podcast. So
Dave, have you ever listened to one of these podcasts full through?
yes,
Really?
yeah.
I listened to like half of one.
No, the only one that I actually listened to full through, I waited until after we had posted it because I probably would have been like too nervous and said that we shouldn't post it. But the one where I talked about church, episode 4.
Oh yeah, that's like our
I
best.
listened to that one.
So
that's
that
everybody's
one,
favorite one. You
Yeah.
should talk about church every time.
I don't have a whole lot of things to talk about
You
with
said it
church
all, like,
anymore.
Right there.
Yeah, like I got it off my chest,
That's
and
cool.
Online.
and no one's kicked me out of a church since then, so it's good. It's pretty
That's
good. Yeah. So
So
Liz,
you have a job and you're also applying to jobs, or what's the deal?
Yep.
what's your 5-year plan?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm continuing my education. I'm taking classes like I'm taking organic biochemistry right now, and then I have to take some anatomy classes, and then I have to apply to RN programs and get accepted, and then decide where I want to go.
Okay, so you're
based
still
on
gonna.
where I get accepted.
So you're just working and trying to
Yeah.
find
So
somewhere
I'm just
to go to
working.
school.
I'm trying to like get myself into like a job or places where I can like continue my education and to like continually be challenged and not get bored, I guess.
What's the pay difference between LPN and RN?
Depends on like your position. Like, so some LPN jobs, I would say it like ranges from like $17 to like $21
Okay,
around
and
here.
that's what,
Around here.
okay, yeah, and that's what you have right now, the LPN.
Yep, LPN. And then RN, that's just, I have no clue.
But more.
It's more, yeah. And
Like
it
a lot
depends
more.
on like where you're working and like if you're in a hospital, if you're in long-term care, if you're at clinic, like
Yeah.
it depends on your specialty as well and your years of experience, obviously.
Do nurses always make like a wage, or do some nurses have salaries?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably some nurses have salaries, definitely. Like our director of nursing is on salary at the nursing home.
Oh, okay.
But like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't really want to be on salary because with nursing, like, you end up putting in a lot of overtime. You know,
Right. Like
because if
Dave
they need
working-
nurses, like, you have to be on the floor. You can't just abandon,
The dying people.
Yeah, or the people. And so.
Just like Dave can't abandon Salesforce apps.
Yes. Because otherwise we would have the Titanic.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's probably not that important.
Do you like being on salary, Dave, or?
Yes. I definitely do, just because it's consistent. Like, then you know what your week to week is.
Mm-hmm.
And that there, it's like it's standard for the IT world to be salary. So it's that's
but
just how it works.
Do you get like extra frustrated when you go over hours? Like
not frustrated. It always balances out because there's always going to be weeks where you work 70 hours, 80 hours, but then there's going to be weeks where you work 40, right? Whereas when I worked hourly, I was putting in. Like when I was in sales and stuff, I would put in like 50, 55 hours because then you're working for the overtime. And now it's just more like you work to get what needs to be done. And you're not that worried about your hours per se, just doing what needs to be done. But so Liz.
Yes.
Do you basically want to be like you're on Grey's Anatomy? Is that your life goal?
Those are all doctors. Do you realize that they don't really show nurses in that show? Like,
that's because nurses aren't.
The doctors do everything, which
nurses
don't
do anything. They just
stop it.
they take your.
Literally.
They weigh you. They get your blood pressure.
Stop. Okay. I can't even say anything to that because it makes me mad. Okay.
Go on.
This would be a good podcast.
Rebuttal this.
David usually.
David makes you mad.
Yeah,
sometimes.
It's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
No. Okay.
It's like school
do
teachers
so
being.
much.
They're just glorified babysitters.
One time, Victoria, my sister, I was sitting there doing my nursing homework at school, and she goes, "You know what? Like, sometimes I really just don't even see the value of nurses in the world." I was like, "Shut up." I was like, she's like, "All they do is just take you back and do your vitals and ask you some questions." And I was like, "Stop it. Like, who are you talking to right now?" Like,
But that is slightly valid. Nurses in that, like, every nurse that I ever work with, like, that I ever meet, they are just weighing you and taking your vitals.
Yeah,
that sounds like a really
lucky
boring.
You, because you haven't had to like be in critical condition where nurses are doing a lot of other things. And like, I don't think people realize. I didn't realize this before I went to nursing school. Like all the things that are behind the scenes, like nurses do a lot,
like
and
paperwork,
like paperwork, and stop.
You're not convincing me that nursing is great. You're like, yeah, they do a lot of paperwork that you don't see. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, nurses do a lot that you don't know. And, like, we know a lot about the body. We have all these, like, nursing interventions and, like, nursing diagnoses that are different than doctors' diagnoses.
What would a nursing intervention be?
What's your diagnosis?
So, like, you're visiting a patient and then you're like, yeah, this is what they have, and you tell the doctor? Or what?
Like
what is it?
Okay, I'll explain it to you.
Yeah. Talk to me like I'm dumb, because I am.
Okay. So like a nursing intervention would be like, okay, so I go into a patient's room and they have pneumonia or something like that, because that happens quite a bit. And so you go in there and you listen to their lungs or whatever, and you hear like crackles in their lungs, and it's like all messy and nasty. And so you'd be like, you don't want that in their lungs or in their respiratory tract. And so like you would have them be like, sit up straight and have them cough, deep breathe, and try to like release all of those secretions. Okay. And so like that's like a simple nursing intervention.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't get worse, and you know what I mean? Or that's even to prevent pneumonia. Every single patient should cough, deep breathe, or like do their incentive spirometer, and to prevent like other issues that can happen in the hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
So like the daily maintenance things.
Mm-hmm, right.
Yes.
And so like preventative care as well.
Yes. Maintenance is not the right word. You can tell I work in a manufacturing industry. Preventative maintenance on the human beings.
Right.
Okay. You've kind of convinced me.
And nurses also do a lot of education, like I'm doing right now.
That's
for
true.
you.
Like to the patients and stuff?
To the patients, like, even like medication education, like these are like the common side effects that are going to happen when you take this medication. Watch for these. If this happens, call your doctor right away, or like do this.
What are the common side effects of steroids?
Steroids?
Your balls shrink.
There must be steroids in macaroni.
Stop. Oh gosh.
I was gonna say Viagra, but I figured we probably. Okay.
Okay, let's not talk about this anymore.
All right, fine. So Dan,
Yeah.
Dan
Tell
just
us-
keeps on laughing over
tell
there.
us about the whole.
I thought you were leading this podcast.
Tell
No,
us
David
about
and I
the
are just
whole
arguing.
30.
Oh, whole sucky.
The whole fail.
Yeah, last time we did the podcast, it was like day 1.
Yeah.
So I did whole 30 up till day 8. So about
Don't take nitroglycerin.
You made it a whole-
whole
8
7 and
Viagra.
5/8. And let's see here. So it was no sugar, no preservatives, no dairy,
Nothing fun.
no alcohol.
No joy.
Yeah.
No
For 8
Jesus.
days.
Actually, that's what it felt like. I got a little depressed.
Yeah.
Not like hardcore depressed, just
But those
I didn't-
meatballs you had the first day were so good.
they were. The
And
first
then
2
it
days
just
were
was,
not that
like,
hard, actually.
downhill from there.
The first 2 days it felt great because I'd been eating like crap over the holidays, and then I just like didn't eat sugar for a couple days. I was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it just started to suck. Like I didn't have a lot of energy. I didn't want to work out because
Right.
I didn't have a lot of carbs in my system.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like, what is there to live for? I think I didn't do it long enough, basically. I think you're supposed to do it the full 30 days to like get the full effects and start feeling better.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the stamina. So
Did you think that, like, so you'd cut out sugar, obviously, but when you, like, introduce sugar back in your diet after 8 days, like, did you feel crappy after that?
I felt amazing.
Oh, really? I've, like, cut out sugar before, and then, like having sugar again, you just feel disgusting.
Yeah, a little. When I came back, I just tried not to go super hard.
Mhm.
Like, we still had a lot of meat in the fridge, so we kept
Right.
eating meat. I just, like, wasn't worried if there was cheese on it or,
Right.
like, I put a slice of bread on my plate
Or
or
if you
something.
added condiments to it because that's like your favorite thing in life.
Yeah, it was hard. No ranch and no mayo. And I ordered this, like, paleo mayo and, like, Whole30 compliant ranch, and it just tasted nasty. So I think I didn't really do enough research into the diet, and I just kind of went for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. I went 8 days without sugar. I was actually pretty. The whole thing is a story you tell yourself. So while I was on it, I was trying to tell myself that first bite of like if you break it on a DQ blizzard or something, like you're just gonna feel terrible inside yourself. So like you don't want to do that. And I was like believed it. Like I told myself that, and I believed it, and it was
So
helping
you
not do it.
shamed yourself, but
Yeah,
it
and then
just
not
didn't
doing
work
it.
long term.
Well, I was just trying to avoid the pain of being a loser. So not of losing, not being a loser. We learned
Right.
about this. Yeah.
Right.
And then I flipped a story in my head on day 8 about how, like, hey, I actually went 8 days without sugar, and I feel a little accomplished. And
That's great.
I didn't really do enough research, and I can still be healthy without doing this diet. And we kind of realized going, like, by that point, like, we hate this as soon as we can't do it. Like, we're not going to probably reintroduce everything the correct way.
Right.
And we're probably just going to go, like, day 31, we're going to be like, okay, can I have a Snickers bar now? Which is not the point of the diet.
Right.
So why not end it day 8 and then, yeah. But
I kind of feel like I should argue with you just for fun.
go
but
for it. Tell me.
No.
It's your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
No,
the guy
I wouldn't
who-
have done
yeah.
it. Like,
You told your wife that you weren't going to eat sugar, and then Gabe brought donuts to the office, and then you ate it.
you can't say this
I
type of
just
stuff
outed
on
you
the
on the
podcast.
podcast.
Haley,
bro.
Haley doesn't really listen to the podcast, so
I'll probably be safe. I was actually convicted
That was-
about that,
I was convicted.
not because of the fact
Were you
that
convicted by Jesus, or you're convicted by people?
convicted by integrity. I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay. So I told my wife I would do this with her, and then I completely am secretively doing this. I was like, that's not integrity.
Yeah.
So then I was like, crap.
But
I'm
Dan
being
wasn't
so
gonna tell
judgy
you.
right now.
No, but She does know that I ate sugar, and she was very upset with me that night.
Was she?
Yep. And so then now neither of us are doing it, so it's all good.
She was like secretly relieved.
She was. She was like, well, it's just like, so if you tell a teenager they can't have alcohol, they're going to want alcohol. If you tell me that I can't eat sugar, I want sugar so much.
Do you want to know something?
Dude, it's the
when
law, bro.
I was growing up, I didn't think that, like, I would, like, thought that you couldn't have alcohol till you're 21. Like, there was no way.
Like
and
that,
then I
it would
turned,
just,
like,
like, kill you?
17, and, like, I was like, well, this is not true. No, like...
17.
17.
That's
No.
great.
But, like, I was, like, yep, that's the reality of life. Like, it won't ever come to me. It won't ever, like
Like it's
ever
not
be
an
a
option.
problem. Not
Like,
an option
like
at
I'll try
all.
to pour it on my lips, and it would just like fall off my
I
face.
don't know. It was just
Invisible
like,
shield.
this is what life is.
Yeah.
21, then you can have it.
Yeah.
Which my birthday's coming up, so
That's
Your
good.
birthday's in a couple weeks.
February 4th.
I thought you were 21 already.
Yeah, you were trying to offer me all this whiskey and just and I just kept having to say no, I'll drink my
Oh,
peppermint
man.
tea.
Because you've never had alcohol before, right? bro?
Right.
Yeah. So alcohol.
So the weekend of your birthday, I hope you weren't going to invite me to a party or anything because I made plans.
It's the Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Dad told me, he was like, I'm sorry to tell you this, Elizabeth, but if the Vikings make it to the Super Bowl, you will not be the center of attention that day. And I was like, what?
Oh, man.
I'm going down to the cities that weekend to hang with Jay Lights and CK. So
Well,
happy
I'll
birthday.
Find some other people.
You can come to our house, hang out with us and Remy,
Yeah.
and like drink a Mike's Hard Lemonade or something.
Okay.
I mean, we're not really that sportsy. But
I'm
I
not
did
either.
watch the Vikings game.
I didn't. I watched the one
I
Did
highlight.
you
went,
watch
I
the
went to a
Vikings
movie.
game?
I'm a terrible Minnesotan.
Well, I was working, so it was just kind of like I was sitting in Gabe's basement and everyone else was watching it. And so it was kind of nice. It was like something was going on, and so I felt like I was still a part of things while I was doing things.
Yeah.
And then it was a fantastic game.
I watched the highlights.
Yeah, it was good.
I went to a movie
It was really stressful. What movie?
in Alec called The Post, which is amazing. As Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. Is that how you say her last name?
Sure.
Streep.
What?
Sure.
Strep?
Streep?
Streep.
It's not
I think
Streep.
Streep.
No, I know.
I think
Streep is right.
yeah,
Meryl
Meryl
Streep.
Streep. And it's about the Washington Post and the Pentagon Papers in the 60s.
I
So
think
it's
I
like-
saw a
It's like
commercial for that.
a political thriller and journalism. So I was like nerding out and I loved it. But I checked the score a couple times.
Yeah.
But I would encourage anybody to go watch that movie. It's really, really good. And it kind of timely too, because it's like on the topic of journalism and truth and power and like relationships between people who have media distribution powers and their friendships with people with political power. And
You just like make that sound kind of boring.
yeah,
Yeah. Was there
But-
any like
but that
drama?
way-
Was there any like
tons of drama.
who's hooking up with who? Like
Oh, come on.
Not so much.
That's what happens when we let a girl on the podcast.
Dave, no sexist comments.
Sorry.
I'm trying to think.
I forget.
I don't know. No, not so much of that.
Huh. So it's good if you're
But there's lies in it.
a
so there's
marketing
drama.
content specialist. Then you really appreciate it.
Maybe. Yeah, if you're a cool one like me.
Yeah, right. So Liz,
Mm-hmm.
if you had to pick one thing that like you were passionate about enough to debate with someone, like what would that subject be?
I don't know.
Just because
Then if I tell
I
you
bug
we're
you
gonna
enough.
debate it, and then like I will say things that just I don't know that could be hurtful or I don't know.
that would be the first time that happens on the podcast, so it would be pretty interesting. I think people might be entertained.
Yeah, I feel like you guys right now, like Elizabeth's the professional athlete, and you're like the journalist, like asking the hard questions, and
Yeah.
she's really deflecting. She's doing pretty well.
She is deflecting.
It's like you had a PR coach come on before this, like, "Hey, here, Bob, here's your
No,
personal
I was
brand.
I was
You're a
praying
nurse.
in the car. I was like,
Answer these questions, deflect these ones."
I was like, okay, Dan and David are really good at like getting me to like say things that like I feel, and like like,
Okay,
and,
how-
like, they're pretty honest things. Like, whenever even just when I talk to you guys, and then I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, if someone heard what I said, like,
Okay.
I'm very much of a people pleaser, and so like,
What do you think about world hunger? Like, how would you go about solving that?
I don't know. That's sad to think about.
Oh, but like, if you had to pick a practical step, what would it be?
I never thought about this before, really. So,
You're an intelligent young nurse. Come on.
if I had to solve world hunger,
First step.
I guess like first step I would have to like go and like find the hungry people and like, you know, like actually like immerse myself in that culture to be like, oh, this is a need, because like I don't
Sure.
see that to my day to day.
Yep.
So like I'm gonna have to have a heart for something if I'm gonna like want to pursue it and do well at it. And
Sure.
so I would go and I'd be like, see these hungry children with my own eyes, not just pictures on Instagram or on Facebook, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Or just a video. Like I'm like, I would have to just go and be like, whoa, and experience it, and then ask people like, what are practical ways that we can do to help in this situation and for you? Because I think like sometimes we can sit here in this room, you know what I mean, and like talk about it and be like, oh, we could do this and that, blah blah blah, but it's like we don't really know because we haven't asked, you
Right.
know, we haven't seen it for real,
Right.
you know.
That was good.
Yeah.
See? See, you can do this podcasting thing.
Thank you. I was born to speak in a microphone.
All right, church.
You can't just say church. What's your point?
What are your thoughts? Like,
on church
church in general.
America?
Just lay it out.
I personally really enjoy going to church. And it feels weird not going to church on Sundays. Like, I don't know, like since I grew up that way, I do enjoy it. And
So you don't go to church right now?
I do go to church right now.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, it feels weird when you don't.
It feels weird when I don't, or
Yeah,
like when
yep.
I'm like there was a point when I first moved out of my house after high school, and like I didn't really go to church regularly, and not saying that was a good or a bad thing, but like after I started going to church and I picked a church that I wanted to go to, I don't know, it like felt like my life was like back on straight. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I go to church for the Harvest right now in Alexandria. I enjoy it. I know a lot of people there, but I don't feel like I always have to talk to everybody that I know. So like that's a good feeling.
Oh, that's nice.
You
That's a
know,
good
and
balance.
like, and it's like nice, like
Big
going
enough,
to.
I guess.
Well, it's like I could choose to talk to someone because I'm like, oh, I know you, and we could have a conversation, or I'm like, I could just leave, you know, and no one will be hurt, you know.
Yeah.
I like going to church where you don't know like all the crap that's going on, like behind the scenes, you know.
Yeah, that's
You know,
nice.
like that's really refreshing to just
Right.
go and be like, I can take what I want from this, you know, or like I don't know, and I can just leave at the end of the day and not like feel drained in
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah.
You
You're
know?
not like dating the sound guy and friends with the pastor's daughter.
Exactly.
Exactly.
yeah.
Or like, no, yeah, I don't
That
know.
would be strange. I've never been a part of a church that I'm
Where you
not.
haven't
Yeah.
known the dirt.
Yeah. See,
Right.
but like, oh no, I know, like I hadn't either until I started going to church for the Harvest, and I was like, I don't know, like anything about the leadership, you know, or like what's
Yep.
going on behind the scenes, and I was like, I love it. I love it. Church is great. Not saying like, you know, I love my other home church and stuff, but sometimes it's like it's hard to see past like
What's your
The
home
dirt?
church?
MCC.
Okay.
But yeah, I went to MCC this last week, and
Yeah?
we had this discussion, and I commented.
Oh,
so-
you were there at the big discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I was in the microphone. And I commented.
What? What'd you
Bobby
say?
gave me the microphone. I raised my hand. I was like, "Oh, I gotta say
Bob-
something."
Bobby was our last guest.
So
did
give
you
a
say?
bit of give context and
Yeah.
what were
They
your
were
thoughts?
talking about discipleship and like what that's gonna look like for our church, because that's like where we're like heading, I guess, and how can we be good disciples? How can we seek out people to disciple, you know, and be intentional about it, whatnot, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
At least that's what I took from it. It was, you know.
Bobby will
and
listen and be like, "That was a nope."
Elizabeth, you're wrong. No. And then I just said that I think that it's easy for people to be like, okay, I'm going to disciple this person, and this is what I'm going to teach them. This is how they should think and be blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I think that like you can definitely teach someone to be like, this is what our church believes. This is what our organization believes. And so I'm going to teach you all of these things. And so you kind of mold them to this like Christian that you want them to be, or like, and I'm not saying people do this intentionally, but sometimes it just happens. Yeah. And I'm like, I was like, I think that like we should disciple people and stuff, but like not like have like an expectation of like, you should believe this and just accept my answer. Yeah. And like, then Bobby was just like, agreed with me, and he was like, yeah, we don't want to make disciples of MCC or this church, blah, blah, blah. We want to make disciples of Jesus.
Disciples of Bobby.
Right.
Who baptized you, Bobby Culbertson?
Right. Or like at the end of the church be like, oh, like how many people has Elizabeth disciple? These are all Elizabeth's like little discipleship people, you know, like isn't that kind of scary? And so I'm like,
terrifying.
It's terrifying. And like, and I mean, sometimes I feel like in discipleship, you should always be able to like ask questions and like kind of just make up your own mind, because like you are like, I don't know, you're an adult.
I think
an adult, you know, like
I think people generally, and lots of the people who I've ever like even been in a like semi mentorship or discipleship realm, like where they're trying to like invest in me, they tend to have that perspective of like, you bring to me your things and I'll give you advice. And I really don't like that approach. Like if you look at how Jesus handled discipleship, it was like, I'm going to be vulnerable and share things, and you ask questions, and then out of my example of like being vulnerable and sharing things and like teaching, like then you might start to say, hey, so I went through this, what would your advice be? But generally when people are like, can I disciple you? It's like, hey, come to me, because I think that if you like share your life experiences, I can impart my great wisdom, instead of from a place of like, I'll be vulnerable and just talk to you about the things I've gone through. And hopefully that gives you some insight, and hopefully then we build enough relationship that you feel like you can share. And I feel like often it goes the other way.
But what if you're discipling people and you have like way more wisdom than everybody else? Shouldn't you just let people know?
Then you might as well just be a pastor, right?
Just kidding. I'm sorry.
No, but like, then you should just, if you've got that much wisdom, get on a microphone and like share it to the masses. But I feel like discipleship is so much more about building relationship and like exempling what it means to be living what you see as truth versus just like teaching something.
It seems weird sometimes when people talk about discipleship all the time and they never talk about friendship.
Well, I was just going to say that. Like,
friendship seems like the more, to me, like the more sticky or the more staying. I feel like a friendship has more staying power than a mentor,
right?
Sometimes
like
I think if you
relationship.
Use the word discipleship, like, or your discipler or whatever, like, there's like this idea that they're like above, you know,
right?
And
it kind of
like,
sets
and then
this
you go, and
precedent.
There's hierarchy immediately.
This hierarchy of like, you're a better Christian, and I'm going to try to reach where you are. And like I'm not saying that's how people feel when they're discipling you, but I'm saying like sometimes that's the view of it.
That's the feeling that it makes. Like when you say,
right,
I want to,
so like you like go to, and like sometimes you're just like, oh, like they have this idea of how I should be, like, so like it's hard to share actually vulnerable things, because you're like, you would think that you failed them.
Right.
Also, and it shouldn't be about them. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know.
Also, like, if they ever mess up someday, then like what that might shake you. Like
right.
If you, well, I mean, it probably would anyways, but
yeah, but that's
if you
where
really
I
look
think,
up to somebody, they're probably going to make a mistake because they're human at some point, even if they're a really, really good person, and it could be a big mistake. And like, is that going to rattle you when that person fails? Like, are you going to, like, is your foundation for the good things that they taught you?
I think that can also hinder people from discipling people, though.
So
being like, I might fail, or I can't actually.
Oh, for sure.
Be good for this person, you know, or.
Right. So maybe I'm just saying, like you're saying, the model, the hierarchy there.
Yeah.
If you're friends.
Yeah.
Then if I fail, I mean, that might hurt depending on what the failure is, that could hurt a relationship or not. but you wouldn't be expecting that your friend would be perfect.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I think.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then your friend, if it's like a good friend,
Yep.
they would know that you would probably give them room.
Mhm.
Right.
Sorry
Yeah.
for cutting you
Well,
off.
no. So, like, I have a good friend. He kind of put it, I think, the best I've ever heard. Like, so him and I started getting together like every Saturday to have coffee and just have conversations, not like a, hey, I want to mentor you or he wants to mentor me type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And after like a year of doing that, we were basically in what I think is like a healthy model of discipleship where he put it basically like, I see you as like a father figure, a brother, and a son. Like, it depends on the situation, but it's like,
Whoa.
in a healthy model, it's like in some ways you have a maturity or a wisdom to bring that I don't have, and that would be, in a sense, like a father, but we're equals. But I also know that there's things that I have to give to you, like I would pass on to a son.
Right. Yeah. There's
And-
mutual learning and
Right. Like
humility.
when you have that perspective and just that friendship, like, I think there's going to be a whole lot more fruit and growth from that, just in a, I see you not as someone who's greater than me or lesser than me, even though given the scenario, you may have more to bring to the table in that certain realm than I do, or I may have more. But I thought that that was one of the healthiest ways I've ever thought of discipleship. And it happened organically. It wasn't like a, hey, we're going to start a discipleship program, go find somebody, which I'm not against. Like, but I think sometimes that causes that forced and that wrong perception on all sorts of different levels of, oh, so if you're discipling me, then like you're my new teacher and I need to like share everything with you and never, like, it's not a reciprocating thing. Like, just
It'd be sweet to get mentored by somebody who is super smart.
yeah.
Like, I always thought it'd be cool to get recently I thought it'd be cool, like, get a job where you're like the assistant to the CEO or something.
Oh yeah.
That would be so cool. Like, somebody who's running some big company, or like, I don't know, like the head of a hospital or something, you know, like, but you're just with them, like you're helping them schedule, like you're in meetings they're in, but you're not.
Yeah,
you're
you
not
just
an
get
actor.
to,
You're like their admin.
yeah,
But not maybe not like a like closer maybe than a
closer
secretary
than a
or something.
secretary, because you get to be involved in the day-to-day where you get to hear the meetings and hear the conversations and see how they schedule their day and how they think and process and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be invaluable.
I would love to even do that for a week, you know, just to like follow someone like that around and be like just a fly on the wall basically, and then have a chance afterwards to like ask questions. Be like, so that scenario, how did you even decide to approach it that way?
Right.
Or, you know, that would be a lot of fun. Right, Liz?
Maybe we should hang out with Bub for a week and learn
Yeah.
how to be nurses.
Nursing, Grey's Anatomy.
Those are all dogs.
So Haley is watching that show right now.
Oh yeah.
But I watched yesterday night while I was working. I watched it for like 3 or 4 episodes.
Oh good. That's like 3
That
hours.
was like wrenching on my
I
heartstrings.
know. Okay. Well, it's like it's crazy emotional, like how you get attached.
The first episode that I watched, there's this guy who
Don't know spoilers. Okay, it's fine. What season are you
I won't tell you who it is or what season.
I mean, I've seen all of
His
seasons.
wife is like a doctor, and then she just like comes home and he's like throwing up blood, and then she's in a surgery and he's getting surgery done on him, and she's like doing her surgery on someone else, and he dies on the table.
Wait, who?
I don't know. He dies on the table while she's doing this surgery still, and all of her coworkers who know it are like lying because she's in the middle of this open heart surgery.
I vaguely remember.
And I'm just like
12 seasons.
I'm literally, is this season like 14 I'm going on right now?
And all this is happening while like there's a whole nother set of doctors who are in an ambulance with a little NICU baby, and then a car crash happens where they like, it's just this insane roller coaster of people dying.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
the plane crash episode is insane. I had to stop watching for a solid like few months because I was emotionally wrecked. Ask Victoria. I was bawling, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. It was insane.
I was watching, well preoccupied on something else, disconnected from the characters, and I was like starting to tear up.
I remember one time John Tiernan tweeted something like, "This Grey's Anatomy show's got me praying, and this isn't even real life." And I was like, that is so relatable.
So
I watched the first season, and then I was like, yeah, I'm done with this.
So how unhealthy is that, though? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how unhealthy are those shows truly?
No, I think they're good.
Because I watch that and I start to put myself in like, what if that
Exactly.
was
It makes
my...
you appreciate. Like,
No.
yes.
It's so depressing.
I wish I could do that. I think I analyze things too much.
It's like what we talked about how there's that guy
You don't get emotional
who
about it?
pictures his family dying every single day.
Oh yeah, Gary V.
Yeah. Like, I was watching that and I'm just like, start to think, what if that was like me? Or what if, like... And then I just start to get super depressed, and then you're attaching yourself to this fake TV show instead of just being
That's how
present
they
and
get
living
viewers.
real life.
That's how they continue to have season
But I'm
after
saying
season.
Every once
It's unhealthy, isn't it?
every once in a while
wouldn't
that
say
happens
that.
to me, but for the most part, it doesn't. I feel like I think like, oh wow, and then what choices did the writer make next? I think from like the writer's
Sure.
perspective of like, okay, how are they making this work?
Right.
And like, how do they come up with the dialogue and like when they put the scenes together?
Mm-hmm.
So
I was
which like
watching
doesn't
that.
make you get into it.
I was like, how, like, this writer is more demented than someone who wrote Saw, because they just thought about how to kill like
Shonda Rhimes.
7 people in one episode and make someone
And
who
then
doesn't
still
even
keep the
care
show
about the
going.
characters cry.
Yeah.
7 people died or something like that
Right, yeah.
in one episode. And you have like a poor little baby who's probably going to die. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
you're worse than the person who writes Saw. Like, I don't know. Maybe I have like, it feels unhealthy to me that there's a show made to get you so connected that you're like emotionally distraught over fake people.
To me, then they did their job. They're good at it. Then
Mhm.
they're just
Really
better
good.
than
Yeah,
they're
they're
better
good.
than people who are lame at it.
Yeah, they're good at that, but why not
You're just
live
mad
in
'cause
real
it
life?
affected you.
No, I'm just saying
You expended emotional energy on
on
a
something totally fake.
right.
Like,
But is it fake or is it representing something real?
I don't know.
You
It
take
only
emotion
works.
out of
It
your
only
life.
works because it's based in some type of reality.
yeah, that's true.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't work if it was completely fake.
Right,
There was
Mhm.
enough truth in it that babies do die.
right.
7 people do die in a day in certain situations that might be all connected.
Right.
It could happen. And that's what's like heart-wrenching.
And I'm mad because it like stirred some deep inner something within
It
me.
might not even be deep. It just might be. I don't know why you're mad. I can't answer that question.
Stop watching.
Come on, Dan. You're supposed to like psychoanalyze my.
No, I'm just saying it's like it's based enough reality, and that's why it's
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah,
it
it's-
works. But you ever watch those movies where like people die and there's been no character development and the lines are so bad, and you're like, well, I don't care that that guy died. Like,
yeah, but it's like
Joe
addicting,
fell in the
like,
lava pit, and you're like, I saw that coming. I wonder when Susie's going to fall in 7 minutes later.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
those are lame. Then that's when I feel like I've wasted time. Is if people die in a
You
movie
don't
and
feel
I don't
like
care.
you've wasted time because you're addicted to a TV show from the huge like
I don't get addicted to TV shows.
character development that has happened that's connected you to that person, and then you wasted 4 hours that you could have spent.
It doesn't happen to me.
Well, I guess Dan has a better character than
Dave,
or other flaws.
I'm better than
I
you.
do.
So
That's true.
I just,
Liz,
but not at
come
all.
on.
I'm better than you too.
You don't get addicted
least I
to TV
appreciate
shows?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I also I decide like when it's okay to be addicted, like, oh, like, okay, so my life isn't super busy right now, like, so I can, but like other times I'm like, I will not start this show or I will stop watching because I know it's going to take up too much of my time, and like
Yeah.
so I will like shove it aside.
You'll be in tune
Yeah.
to your schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I do that too. I'm
Right.
just saying,
Yeah.
when like I watched that I was just like, this is insane. I don't know.
It is weird to think that that you could get that invested. I mean, if you
Yeah,
did
it's
that,
just strange.
if you did that 3 times a week,
Yeah. I guess maybe I would cry more in my life, which might make me more emotionally in tune. And
right? Yeah,
I don't know.
I think music can make me cry more than movies.
Oh,
Well-
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Yeah. It all depends on like the season you're going through.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I connect definitely on a deeper level with music because it leaves room for interpretation.
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
But
It's weird how music can like if you listen to a song that you used to like listen to all the time, you had a super emotional time in your life and it like meant so much to you, and then you're like you would cry, and then you listen to it again, it can bring you right back to that moment. It's terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah, because you don't want to relive it. I don't know. Or sometimes it's like nice because you're like, oh, I don't feel that way anymore. Like sweet.
Yeah.
This is a little
Yeah.
bit different, but do you ever look at pictures of yourself and I always seem like you feel like, man, I look super happy there, but then you remember the moment and you feel like you weren't happy in that moment?
No.
Okay, that's good.
No, Dan.
I feel like when I look at pictures of myself, or I look at pictures of the past, I've been trying to get photos on an external hard drive and sell a laptop lately, but like I'll look at it and I look so happy.
So do you look at it
But
and
you
you
did.
feel
But
like
then you weren't happy. Actually,
I think I was, but
Do you
in some it makes sense. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I was really happy and we took the photo and stuff.
yeah.
And other times I look at them and I go, man, I was like really anxious that day, but I look like I'm having a great time, like in that
Mhm.
video or that photo.
Right.
And
I guess like I look at a photo and I'm like, wow, like I look super happy, or it looks like that was super fun, and then I'm like, am I having that much fun now, like in my life now? And then I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I'm like, I don't know, maybe, and then I'm like, question like, was my life better 2 years ago, or
yeah,
I
I
don't
question that stuff too.
So, Dan,
But
are you,
like how can I get back
I
to
feel
that?
like I'll look back on this time though and think like, oh, that was so much fun when I like lived there and was friends with these people.
Mhm.
And
so do
Yeah.
are you someone who actually like, you don't wear your heart on your sleeve, like you don't show your emotions like super visibly? Like in general, you're just like, Dan's a pretty happy dude.
that's
all the time.
I don't know, because I feel like I do show my emotions on my face. I'm
Sure.
bad at hiding when I'm sad
Sure.
or angry on my face.
Oh, same. My face could tell you.
But like
Anything
when you're
you
going
wanted to
through
know.
anxiety,
Yeah, I don't.
yeah, like just your scenario. Because if you look at, like, you can look at like all these different pictures of get-togethers with friends, with me and them, or family, like holidays. It's like David was pissed, or David was like,
In the photos.
yeah, like to an unhealthy degree. Like I'm working on it now. Like I have let my emotions be so visible, like with no care for the fact that they're going to affect other people, right? Like if everyone knows that I'm upset, that's great because they know that I'm upset, versus no, there's no reason for me to ruin everyone else's time just because
And ruin a
I'm
picture.
upset about something petty.
Ruin the Christmas picture. The only Christmas
Yeah,
picture.
I think sometimes I wonder if, in general, I'm happier than most people. I don't know. Like in general, I'm a happy person.
Sure.
So, because sometimes people say like, "Oh, Dan, you're such a happy guy," and I go, "Oh, am I?" And
That makes
I
me
know I'm not a
happy.
sad or angry guy, but
Yeah.
it surprises me to be like, when people are like, "Oh yeah, dude, you're like, I was smiling and stuff," and I like, maybe I don't realize it. So maybe when I feel down, that's still higher. Like I'm still happier than maybe. Like my middle is maybe still happier than other people's middle.
I think
don't know.
people also just have different intensity levels, right? Like
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Liz and I probably have a higher intensity. So people are going to like look at us, or you'd see a picture and you might also just be like, wow, they were unhappy.
Mhm.
But it's just like, no, I was just thinking about something.
Right.
And so I just
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah, like people are always like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." Like I'm just sitting here, and they're like, "Well, you just look so unhappy." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just like thinking." You know what I mean? And it's like people like think I'm just like very upset or very like, I'm like, no, I'm not like upset or anything.
Yeah.
I'm not even like angry. I'm just like thinking about something.
Right.
And intensity. It's a good word.
Where I would say like in general, at least for my, and you can say that I'm way off, but I feel like you're more of like a mellow, like if something big comes, like it's not that big of a deal. Like I'll deal with it as I have time. And like whereas I'm like something big comes and I'm like, whatever, I'm dropping what I'm doing. I got to get this done or else it's going to like ruin my day.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, like I'll take it as it comes.
I think I'm decently chill.
Yeah.
But I think I'm like fairly driven, and a lot of it's internal.
Right.
And so I might be thinking of other things.
Right.
So I might be doing like one thing all day, and I'm generally chill about that. But in my mind, I'm trying to figure out some other problem.
Right.
So I feel like more intensity of like, I'm at work and I'm pretty chill about the work I'm doing, and hey, how's it going? Da da da.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm like, how am I going to sell 1,000 copies of my book when I turn 30 and release it on my 30th birthday? And how do I got to figure this out? And what am I going to do every day? Like, so I have like other things going on that I'm thinking about.
Right. Yeah, it's not like lack of passion and like drive for things. It's just, I think that people definitely have like a different level of like intensity in how they approach everyday, day-to-day things. Mm-hmm. Which then, from like that, the onlooker's perspective,
on your comfortability level of what you're doing too, though. Like, like I can show up to my job and I'm like when I was a CNA or whatever, I still am a CNA. But like, and I can show up and I'm like, I know how to do this really well. For sure. You know? And so like my intensity level is not that high because I'm like, I can just do this and it's not like, you know what I mean? Versus like a newer person that's like, we have to get all these people up and dress for breakfast in 2 hours, you know, like, and like the intensity just rises, and I'm just like, it's gonna be okay. We did it yesterday, like, you know, or like
we do it every day.
We do it every day, you know, or like we're capable of doing it, but like some people are like they just see the task and they're not used to it, and so it's like it builds up this anxiety or this like, oh no, versus like because I used to be like that when I was new at a new job or whatever. Yep. And then, but once you're comfortable with it, it's like. You know, like, even if the worst thing happens, we're still going to get through the day. You know what I mean? Or, like, these people are still going to live, you know? I don't know.
Right.
That's so nice at a job when you get to that point where you're not scared to do anything.
Right. I also think having a good attitude at work is, like, the best thing. Because, like, I've, like, had coworkers come in and they're like, today's just going to be terrible. Like, we have all of this to do and all this extra stuff. And there's like, this is like the beginning of the shift, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I literally one time I looked at someone, I was like, no, this is gonna be the best day, and I was like, don't say that, and I was like, I'm here today, it's gonna be fun. I actually said that.
This is conceited just a little bit.
A little bit. No, but
dude, that's better. That's better than being like, this sucks.
But that shows too that
at the end of the day, she was like,
about what you're doing. Though.
You're right, Elizabeth. This was a good day, and I'm like, yeah, I know. Like you can have good days. Like if you set your attitude straight, like at the beginning, and you're like, and you tell yourself it's mind over matter, you know? Yeah. So like, I think you can choose to have good days, you know. Mm-hmm. And sometimes throughout the shift, you have to be like, oh, that sucked. Like, oh, I did not like that, you know. But it's like. It's okay, like, I'm going to move forward and I'm going to do better next time, or it's going to be fine.
The other big difference there, too, is that person might not be as passionate or see that daily job as part of, like, a bigger piece of their purpose like you do. It's like just even doing these day-to-day things, even though some things are, like, not fun, are a part of my bigger purpose, which is to work towards these goals and accomplish these things. And so if you keep that in perspective, it's a lot easier to be joyful and to see that as just like, hey, this is, even if it's a tough day, it's just a small hurdle in getting me where I want to go.
Right, yeah.
I think that is super important, like we talked about in the last episode, like knowing your why and all that.
Right.
I think sometimes when you have to do really boring things, sometimes it helps me to not think about the bigger purpose. Yeah. Like there's the balance, or there's the trick, whatever you want to do to make yourself feel better. But you can think about the bigger purpose, or you can also just think like if you can't see what you're doing, how it's connected to a bigger purpose, or you really don't believe it is.
Yeah.
Especially if you're an employee and people are telling you what to do, and you're like, I don't know how this is going to help at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it can be helpful to be like, this is a job. I'm paid to do the job. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it's
I'm,
important to be able
like
to balance that.
To be like, I'm also like, I've got this big purpose and this is my life, and I'm also like, what's your smaller purpose? I'm an employee. I'm a worker.
Yeah.
And I do what my boss says to follow their vision. Like, sometimes to bring it down can also make you be like, I'll just do the task. I'll just do it well. And
right. Well, I think
if
it's
it
important to have, like, at least when you're in your career, right? Like, what's my work purpose and what's my life purpose?
Yeah.
And if those, like, if your purpose in work isn't fully accomplishing that, at least you know what, like, a baseline of what your purpose in work is. Like, mine is, I wrote it down somewhere, but it's something to the effect of, like, to help find solutions to problems and, give knowledge to people so that they can do things, like their day-to-day things efficiently or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, if I can keep that in perspective, you can also prioritize and, like, see your day-to-day. Like, okay, even this little boring thing in a small way is helping with that.
Yep.
Now, it may not be feeding my life my bigger purpose, but keeping it in perspective, because otherwise it's really easy to get frustrated and burnt out. And
I think too, sometimes focusing a little bit like on the whatever the human side is or whatever the relational interaction is, sometimes I can get really focused on the tasks.
Yeah.
And then I can get if you just think of things as like, this is what I have to do, or the task on my list, it can get a little boring.
Yeah.
But if I go talk to somebody about the project or make that connection or talk an extra 3 minutes and ask them how their day is, or touch in, it can make like a job more dynamic if you're
for sure
exerting energy into humans, not just your tasks.
For sure, yeah.
And that's, I think, feeding bigger purpose too. It's like having relationship, like healthy, long-lasting relationships, and feeling like you're connected and investing into others. I'd say that's definitely a piece
feeling
of my bigger picture,
for sure.
like my bigger purpose. So to do that even within work of just, hey, how's the family or what's going on, that can be helping to get you
or even
through.
communicating more about the jobs that you're all doing.
Right. Yep, because you're feeling like you're a part of something, like you're connected to people, not like you're just, another person doing another job.
Right. I guess, like, I view it as, like, when I'm working at the nursing home, like, okay, I have 15 people to get to breakfast right now, and I have to get them dressed and brush their hair and stuff. And it's like, sometimes it's like you feel like, okay, I'm going to go one room to the next. You go through the motions, but, like, it's so much more fulfilling and so much better when you focus on that person and you think about, like, how would I want to be treated? Like, if someone was going to get me dressed, and going to brush my hair and going to pick out my clothes, like, I would want to feel valued and I would want to feel loved and cared for to the highest, to their highest ability. And so, like, sometimes you have to draw back and be like, wow, okay. And you think about that person, and you're like, and then, like, I personally, like, I enjoy, like, being in the moment and, like, brushing that person's hair and being like, like, if I'm the person that was, like, chosen to take care of this person for this day, like, I'm going to do the best I can because this is an honor, actually,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's the best feeling at the end of the day, like, when I'm done with my 8-hour shift, my 12-hour shift or whatever, and I leave and I'm like, I just helped so many people live their day, and to have a good day, and you know what? They made me laugh throughout the day. I made them laugh throughout the day, and even if there was a ton of other things that went wrong, like, if I laughed and if I enjoyed myself, and I made someone else's day better, that is a good day.
Yeah.
And that is a successful day.
Yep.
And that is why I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with
Give
that.
this lady a mic.
That's good. No, that's awesome. That's, like, Haley and I have been trying to do it this year. We haven't been perfect, but just each day trying to sit down together and say, like, what's something I was thankful for today? Because it's so easy to come home and be like, I had the most stressful day. I feel overwhelmed. There's all this stuff, like, didn't get this done. And your entire time is focused around, like, frustration or like unthankfulness. And so what we're trying to do is like every day you have to say like, here's something I was thankful for today.
Yep.
Because it's so easy to go days, at least for me, where like I don't, like maybe in the moment I'm like, hey, that was good. But where I don't sit down and look at the day and acknowledge like, hey, that was something that I'm thankful for. And like, that was like investment towards my bigger purpose. And instead of focusing on, okay, so as I'm falling asleep, what are the things that I need to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right.
Why do you think it's so easy for us to like focus on the negative things that happen in our day? Even if there was like 10 positives and 2 negatives, why are the negatives more strongly prevalent? Like that we talk about that happen, you know?
Yeah, I think they feed into your insecurities and your shame and your, you know, because if something's negative, it's because it's directly like impacting you on a, like you're taking that as something I didn't do good enough.
Your
or
performance.
I dropped the ball or you're like
Or other people
disappointed in someone else.
Me.
Yeah, you're like, wait, why in the world would so-and-so be that stupid or whatever it is? I don't know. It's just so much easier to perseverate on either others' flaws or your own flaws than it is to see, hey, like they made improvement. Like I had a poor interaction with them last week, and at least this week, you know, they handled themselves better. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have an answer?
No, I asked the question.
You've got it.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I do. I mean, I feel like a lot of it's mindset, and I don't know why. Once good things start to happen, they quickly become our default. Like, let's say you start, like you make a certain wage and then you get a raise. Like your new raise, like you're happy for a little bit, and then like that's your expectation. Like it's like, oh, that's my default.
Right.
And then if it got lowered again, you'd be like, what? Even if I think there's a Louis C.K. who's been in the news for bad things, but I think it was him. He's a comedian. He had this bit about like they got on a plane, and it was like they announced there's Wi-Fi on the plane. It's like when Wi-Fi first came out on planes, and everyone was like, "Yay, it's amazing! Like, what? There's internet on the plane. This is nuts!"
Yeah.
And then like 15 minutes later, it wasn't working, and this one guy was like, I can't believe that the Wi-Fi, this is ridiculous. It's not working. Da, da, da. And like he was on a plane when this happened. He was like, shut up, dude. Like we didn't know this was, you didn't know this was real 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And like now you're incensed that
you're
it's
entitled
not working very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what that is. I think I'm sure a lot of it's learned behavior. Like you learn from all the marketing messages you get that like you're not good enough or things could be better.
Right.
You learn from other negative people in your life. A lot of people like to complain. We have to interact with them all day long.
Yeah.
I think,
and that's probably part of it.
One time I was in track practice and we were running lots of miles, and I was like, "Okay, guys, so you have your pack that you run with."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Today we're not going to complain once, like during this run, like." Because usually you're like running, you're like, oh my gosh, my legs hurt, like I'm super thirsty, like, you know, and you're just like, the whole run is complaining.
Right.
Like, I realized this in track, and I was like, let's try to not complain.
Yeah.
It was really hard. I don't think we succeeded very well, but at least we tried, you know, and at least I was like, let's just be aware of when we do
complain. Were you guys
complain.
all in like terrible shape, or like why was there?
No, we were running safari, and like we always run
like
safari.
3 miles.
I know it's not that far, but still, like it was hot out, you know, and you just like
You're ninth grade.
You're ninth grade, and you don't really want to be running, but you like have to get better, and your coach is, you know, yelling at you. No.
I think at least personally too, I'm always looking like towards the next thing, and I'm not very good at being present, like in the just living in the moment. And so even if there's things that like I'm looking forward to that are good, it's like I'm looking forward to the thing that I'm going to do this weekend or what I'm going to do tonight. But then once I get to that thing, then I'm like negative and like frustrated about the things that aren't going right with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always either you're looking towards the next good thing or the next thing that's going to happen in the future, or you're frustrated about how things aren't going how you want them to, like in the present, instead of just living in
Don't
the
have
current
such
moment
high
and
expectations.
being thankful.
It could be that we're just gonna die someday, and so our like model for life is scarcity.
Right.
So there's this, for some reason, like most human institutions and things seem to be based on this fundamental idea that there's not enough.
Yeah.
Like I could run out of money. There might not be enough food for everybody.
Right.
Even though there is. We were talking about world hunger before. Like,
oh yeah.
Like that doesn't have to happen, but our systems are run on this idea of like,
well, we can't share our food with other people because we might not have
right,
enough
I can't
tomorrow.
share what I have because
right.
Yeah, you said it exactly. And so in that we're not really taught to be satisfied.
Right.
And since everybody dies, it's like time, you always feel like you're running out of time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
especially when you watch Grey's Anatomy and you're like, I could die tomorrow.
I could die.
And you're like, dang, I just took 4 hours and I could have done something else.
Right.
So it's, I mean, I don't know if that's done too base of a level, but it's like, why are we scared?
Right.
I've been thinking about something. So like back to last time we talked about Gary Vee and him imagining his family dying, and that wasn't super positive. But he's, one thing he talks about is how he's like, you could fail your entire 20s and be 29.
Yeah.
Like you could try a bunch of different things and like not be very good at them and still just be like 29 and super young.
Yep.
With tons of life left and tons of upside.
Right.
And how like we need to quit fearing failure so much because too many times we go with the safe option, and we only get average results from going with the safe option constantly in life.
Right.
And even if you failed all those times, you'd still have a lot of life left to live. And he was talking about how like he's like 42 now, and he's like, I never thought I'd feel this young at 42.
Yeah.
Like when I was 17, I thought 42 was like you're over. But now that I'm that old, I'm like, dude, I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
And so I think that's some perspective. Like,
yeah,
there's the feeling of life is short, but then there's also that feeling of like that perspective of, hey man, I got a lot more time. If the next year went terrible, I'd still only be 26 instead of 25.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, you could
I'm
ruin your
terrible
life.
at-
Like,
Yeah.
I could lose my job and just do cocaine, and then that would take a while to get back to the level I'm
But
at
I'm
now.
terrible at that, like thinking about, you're thinking about like, okay, what do I need to be secure, like, for the future? And then it's like, but I'm also only 23, right? I'm terrible at forgetting. I'm like, I'm an old person. Like, I have a family. I got to just, like, buckle down, provide for the family. And then it's like, I'm 23. I still got, like, I'm only a quarter or fifth of the way through my life.
You still have to provide for your family.
That's true.
Right. No, there is the balance.
But
of,
it's like Dan
I got to pay
saying-
my rent. I mean, those are real.
Yeah, there's day-to-day things that you need, but I definitely play it safer because I just feel at times like I'm older than I am. Or just even like, I don't have to go to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm 23.
23.
I could get 4 hours of sleep and I would be fine. So why don't I do some fun things instead of just going to sleep because I know I need to wake up and go to work in the morning?
Yeah. I think it's okay to like have like goals for your life and be like, when I'm 29, I hope to be here and have this,
for sure,
and
sure.
like, you know what I mean? And like have like something built
Right.
with your life.
If I work hard now.
If I work hard now,
Right.
and like, even if that is like taking safe options or like extravagant things, I don't know, like you can still have a great life and like do fun things and still reach your goal at 29.
Right.
Because that's what I'm going to do.
And then retire at 29.
No, but like, I don't know, like, even if you're not at your like potential, like this is my dream home, this is where I want to be, and I want to have these kids. Like you can still like you can have that dream and like still work towards it if you want, and your dream can change definitely. Because I am only 20, and maybe it'll be what I want. A year from now is going to be different.
Well, yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of different ways. Like, I mean, there's the people who will spend their entire 20s not married, going doing all their adventures now, you know, running around on their own. And then once they hit 30, then they're going to settle down and do the family life thing. And it's like, you also could look at it the other way and say, by the time that I'm 40, my daughter will be 18 and she can go to college, and then I can go run around and do all that. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it and say, okay, what do I actually want? It's not just because I didn't live crazy in my 20s or go do the adventures doesn't mean that you won't ever have them, unless I die tomorrow, which could happen.
Man, that's scary. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, let's not think about
Dude,
that.
if Dave dies tomorrow, that's going to be really sad.
Shoot.
That's super depressing to think.
Okay, never mind.
All right, yeah.
Only positive things.
Only positive.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna drive anywhere anymore, but I would die from freezing to death here in Minnesota if I walked to work, so I won't do that either. And I have to go to Hancock in the morning, so I would definitely freeze to death if I tried walking there.
Yes.
He would.
I ran to Hancock before.
All right, so
Did you complain the whole time?
this is the worst. He was all by himself, so he was just complaining to God.
I was actually with Shem and Kyle, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So I
one
did
time?
have someone text
Okay,
in
go ahead.
something that would be a good conversation if we
Just
want
right
to
now?
continue. Like half an hour ago, but we got on this
I'm
whole.
like, this isn't
Who texted
live,
you?
is it?
My wife from upstairs.
Okay. Shout out to Haley. Follow Haley Photography on Facebook.com.
Yes. Paid to get your pictures taken. Okay. So did either of you see the video that was posted by some people who are within our circle about depression and how it's all in your head?
Oh, yeah,
No.
I saw that.
No?
Where was that at?
Yes.
Dang it. Liz.
Oh, Bob. Go
Is
look
it
it
on
up right
Facebook?
now.
Yeah,
I
it's on
must not be in your
Facebook.
circle.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Who?
I don't. We shouldn't say it on the
No.
podcast.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to watch it right now.
Yeah, I'll text you.
Yeah, you should
Yeah.
start watching it. Just
Is it long?
No, don't watch it because she
that's
doesn't have headphones.
That's fine. I don't need to
okay.
know.
So, anyways, I'll just give you the premise, and then you can watch it later.
Okay.
It would have been so much better if you'd watched it. Basically, there was this super sarcastic 20-something woman who basically said depression is all in your head in like a very vulgar way, and just get over it.
That's not true.
Be
Here's
happy.
4 tips to help you get over
4
depression.
things, and you know what? Like all
Was she
this.
joking?
It's an imbalance.
No.
It's an imbalance in the brain, but your brain
Just
is filled
fix
with
it.
your brain is filled with chemicals, and they go up and down all the time. So make
Oh
them go
my
up.
gosh, no.
And these people.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I'll punch her in the face.
So depression's a real thing, and it's not just something you can just wake up one day and choose not to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
And like some people get help by taking
Well-
like yeah, not all medications are good for all people and stuff, but
Right.
some people just
Antidepressants.
they find the right one and then they're
Yeah.
way better in life. And it's like take your pills and then
Well,
you can
and
be on
there-
the same
yeah.
level. Like if you're
Yeah.
way low and your
Well-
body's not producing it, and this gets you to middle, like
It's like
normal.
if you broke your leg, you would go get it fixed, or if you have high blood
It's
pressure.
all in your head.
But if you have high blood pressure, like you're going to take medication to lower your blood pressure so that,
Your body's blood pressure changes all the time.
And of course, if you just like eat Cheetos and sit on the couch and you're depressed,
Right.
it's not going to help.
Right. So
Like,
there is
maybe
a piece,
going
yeah.
outside and helping, but it doesn't mean all the natural things you can do are going to fix the chemical imbalance.
And then also,
inside your
it's
body.
the
Mhm.
stupid thing is like, so the background story, I guess, is that she had some type of injury or something, and then went into a very extreme depression for a period of time, and then just one day was like, you know what, this is all in my head. I'm going to change it. Right? There are people like yes, that might work for some people given certain circumstances. You might just be choosing to not get off the couch because you feel like you can't reach your goals, and yes, you just need to get up off the couch. But that is definitely not the scenario for everybody.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
And I don't know, like, I don't have depression, so I don't, like,
right.
I'm not saying I have that same experience, but I know people that do. I'm related to people that do.
Right.
And
well, yeah, my best friend's previous, like, his wife before, who was like one of my best friends also, she took her life from anxiety and depression coming up on 2 years ago now. And it's like,
you're telling me that's not real?
When you just go say, hey, like, it was all in your head, get over it. It's like, no, I want to punch you in the face.
Positive thinking meme. Just look at
like,
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
It's sad.
Yeah. It was just super unhealthy. It's just a very unhealthy thing, especially for someone who, like, to just throw that out there and be like, hey, this is great food for thought. Like,
I'm smart.
Be one thing if she, like, if the video was someone saying, hey, here is my experience and what I went through and the 4 things that I chose to do to get myself out of depression. That's different than, you know what, it's all in your head. You know, this will fix it for everybody. The drug companies are just making money off of fake drugs for you, and it's all placebo because you just think that you're taking a drug that's fixing it and paying money for it, and it's just a pill with nothing, right? Like, not at all helpful.
Drug companies probably are putting too many opioids out there, and people are getting addicted. And
opioid epidemic.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like in, especially
I don't really pay attention
There's
to the
one state, I
world.
don't know if it's like Delaware or something. There's some northeastern state. I was reading an article that's just been like decimated by it.
Yeah.
People getting
There's
addicted.
like a lot of new like rules and protocols like put into place for like doctors prescribing medication and like who can go pick up that medication, and like it's like hard because like one of my instructors was talking about it and like how she is in home health care and this lady like needs pain medication, but like she physically cannot go to the drugstore and get it, and it's like, but like that's the new policy, like
but
you
someone
have
else
to
can't
show
go
your
pick it up.
identification, you have to do this, you know, and like the nurse can't just go get it for you anymore.
Sure.
Like, and so she was just like, I get it, because like they need to be strict on this because it is an epidemic, but it's also like this person's actually in pain, and I you know, and they need this, and so like it's hard.
Yeah, it sucks
it's
how
like,
a few stupid people can ruin it for the people who actually need it.
Yeah.
People are stupid. That's just
Dumbos.
the bottom line is that people are stupid.
I tried to text the person who posted it to you, and I texted to somebody else.
You texted that
Did
video
you text
to someone
that
else?
person?
No. Thank God.
That's good. I had an awkward thing where, so Greg Neprath, the worship leader at E-Free, texted me, like, asking me if I could drum on a Sunday. Like, this was a couple months back. And then Haley was out for the first time, and I was, like, watching Remy. And so I took a picture of Remy and, like, was sending it to Haley in my mind and just responded to Greg. Like, this picture of the baby and, like, this, like, look at her, she's smiling at you or something like that.
Oh, my gosh.
And then I'm like, wait a second. Who does that? Oh, crap. Have you ever done that?
I'm actually pretty careful about
That's good.
what, like I write like a really like intense text maybe, or like something that you wouldn't want everyone to see, and like I like stop and I like look at the name. I'm like, yep, okay, send. You know.
That's smart.
Oh, I think I don't know for sure. I should have asked Hannah, but I'm pretty sure like once when there was a bunch of drama going down with like some of her friends and people,
Yeah.
like they were texting back and forth, her and another friend about a friend, and either her or the other like sent the bad mouthing or like the them talking about that person to that person.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
Yeah, that would be so awkward. I might be remembering something completely wrong. That would be bad, though.
Oh, man.
Texting. Liz is texting. She's lost interest in the podcast.
Oh, I'm texting Dan.
Watch
the
the
person,
video.
the caption that went along with it was interesting.
Oh, okay.
Dot,
That's
dot, dot.
Nice.
But so there was
Just,
not a lot
it
of
was just
context.
trolling.
I actually thought about commenting and saying like, you didn't put a lot of context in this. Maybe you should like, and you haven't responded to
Expound.
anybody's comments.
Yeah.
Like maybe you should give a little like, do you agree with this person? Do you not agree with this person? Because you haven't really stated
Right.
of
You, like you
anything.
put it out
Right.
there for a reason.
right. But like, what's your reason? Because you haven't really
Yeah.
explicitly told us.
Right. Are you
Right.
just trying to get responses on it, or do you have like an actual stance and you're just trying to
Usually
say
people, when they share something, people usually have a stance on it.
Right.
unless they're just they know like they just enjoy the reactions of people.
Oh, that's so mean.
There are people I know that are like that will just post things just for the heck of it to see how many people they can get arguing on their post.
Hmm.
Do you remember when I posted super theological, like edgy, like things about God
Oh yeah.
for like a year and a half?
That's
I
when
hope
you
one
just
of
like them.
I hope
Because then
one
you
of
don't have to
those
explain
comes
yourself.
up in like the year in review thing that Facebook does, so that then I can just bring it back and be like, Dan, we should continue this on the podcast.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was such a sucker for those things, especially like in high school. Like completely unable to see a post that someone put that I disagreed with and like just leave it be.
Mhm.
So stupid.
It's
Why
so
would you
tempting. Facebook is like, do you want to comment? You're like, yes, I do want to comment.
How are you feeling?
Well, yes, don't mind if I do.
Or you see a bunch of things and then you do your own post with like the opposite message, the opposite link.
Yeah. For those people that think this.
Donald Trump was the best. I'm going to post Donald Trump is the worst.
Or those people. Okay. Yeah.
Keep talking about.
Okay, so like you have like a private conversation about like some sort of topic that's like controversial, something on feminism or something on this.
Ooh, feminism.
And then somebody, same person, like posts a link to your wall and's like, hey, check this out. You know, like basically like being like showing everybody that
It's
you
called-
disagree with them, but like in a nice way. And then they want you to read this link. And then you're like,
publicly shaming you and hoping that we can have a public argument. So all
yeah,
my
but it's
friends
like
can
I
jump
specifically did not like I didn't write on your wall like, hey, like, what do you think on this? Like, I talked to you in person about it because like that should be safe. That
There's
should be
also a
safe
thing
place.
called
Yeah.
Messenger. You could send me all
Right.
links in email, Messenger,
but
or
like
text.
it's just like it's just
No.
so like passive. Like, here, look at this link and
Yeah.
let me know what you think, or this is what I believe. Like, okay,
People do that to you?
Christopher said that to me.
The twin.
Yeah, so
We should have got the twin on this so that you could both be here.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Four
we
people
did.
on a podcast might be hard.
So
yeah,
each
and
other.
Christopher and me, like, we both like to talk.
we talked about having every single one of the Tiernan's siblings come
I know,
on
I heard
for
about that.
for an episode.
I'm the first one though, right?
What are your thoughts? Do you think
Yeah.
that's a good idea?
I think it would be interesting because then you can like, I mean, just because like people could definitely tell like differences between siblings and like and similarities. You know what I mean?
Then we'd have to have your siblings on.
Sure.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
that'd be fun.
Hannah and I would probably
Well,
have
you-
a fun time. I don't know. Rachel, she would talk about beer with us. Like,
yeah, we could
that'd
get like a
probably be the
sampler
thing she
pack or
talks about.
something, and
yeah,
or she could bring us good beer because she
From
always
Michigan.
finds good beer.
heck yeah. Michigan beers.
Praise the Lamb.
Wow. All right.
Hallelujah.
This has been
Interesting.
the Cowboys and Unicorns podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm David.
And
Have a
I'm Elizabeth.
Have a good night.